Citizen's arrest. You've all heard the term and you've probably all wondered exactly what it means, what it allows you to do and what the rules are. So we're going to find out a little bit more about that today. But if you're just joining our community, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and hit the bell icon because then you get notifications of my new videos. And even before we get started, I want to give out a special thanks today to Marcos Tabasso because out of the blue, Marcos contacted me to say thank you for all of the videos that I've been putting out. And without even realizing it, my videos have helped Marcos to resolve an issue that he's had. And again, without even asking, Marcos has handmade me a very beautiful knife in thanks. Obviously, Marcos knows that I'm interested in martial arts and all things like this, so he knew that I would really appreciate something of such beauty. And not only is it a handmade knife with a well-crafted leather case, but it's also engraved by laser with my name, the belt, and the name of my channel with Community Award laser engraved on the knife. And it really is a thing of beauty. So I am absolutely speechless, and I have to say a really big thanks to Marcos. And I sincerely hope that my videos have helped many more of you, and it's really my pleasure to have been able to help Marcos and hopefully many more of you too. So, citizen's arrest. This is a very complex area of law, as are many others, so this is going to be a very brief overview to give you an idea of how citizen's arrest works, but I would implore you to look into it in a lot more detail before you go out and start grabbing people's collars for things they've done wrong. The first and the main difference between a citizen's arrest and an arrest by a police officer is that a citizen can only arrest another person for what we call an indictable offence. Now we have three types of offences in England and Wales. Summary only, that means it can only be heard at the Magistrate's Court. We have indictable only offences, which means they can only be heard in the Crown Court because they're more serious. And then we have either way offences, which means, as it sounds, it could be either in the Magistrate's Court or it could be in the Crown Court. But what this means is that if it's an either way offence or an indictable only offence, then it is an offence that is capable of being tried on indictment. That makes it an indictable offence. An example of a summary only offence would be common assault, although in some circumstances it can be included on an indictment, for example if it is linked with other offences. Obvious examples of indictable offences that you may come across are things such as theft, burglary and criminal damage. So with that in mind, any person can arrest another person if they are in the process of committing an indictable offence, or you reasonably suspect they are in the process of committing an indictable offence if it is not reasonably practicable for an officer to make the arrest, and the arrest is necessary for one of a few reasons. For example, the arrest might be necessary to prevent the person in question from causing physical injury to himself or another person, suffering a physical injury, causing loss of or damage to property, or making off before a constable can assume responsibility for him. In other words, make a police arrest for the offence that they've been committing. Unlike a police arrest, there's no specific wording that you must use to carry out a citizen's arrest, but you must tell them as soon as possible the fact that they are under arrest and why you're doing it, and what offence you believe they've been committing. In carrying out the arrest, you must only use reasonable force. In other words, you can't cause significant harm to somebody just to keep them there. You must also take the person immediately to a magistrate or a police officer, otherwise the arrest will not be valid, and you may be in trouble yourself. In some circumstances, you may know that a police officer is en route to where you are, for example, in the case of a burglary, and the police officer can make a police arrest on arrival. It's also worth bearing in mind that the person making the citizen's arrest might themselves face legal action, either arrest or civil litigation, if the arrest goes wrong or turns out to be unlawful. This is particularly prevalent if excessive force has been used, because this is something that will need to be decided if such complaints have been made. So although the courts do generally look favourably upon members of the public who intervene to protect rights and other citizens, this is worth bearing in mind. Also, don't forget that the person in the process of committing a crime is likely to be in a heightened state of awareness, aggression perhaps, adrenaline certainly, and you may very well underestimate the strength and the power of this person when you try to conduct a citizen's arrest. This could very easily go wrong, and then the use of force becomes far too much, and then you end up having to justify the force that you've used. Because remember, you can only use reasonable force to detain the person. So if you've ever wondered about store security guards, store detectives, police community support officers, this is the type of arrest that they will be making. And the reason in most store cases that they are allowed to do this, of course, is because theft is an indictable offence. One final distinction that I haven't really covered between police powers of arrest and citizen's arrest is that not only can police arrest, of course, for all types of offences, but police can also arrest people that are about to commit a certain offence, whereas a citizen's arrest is limited to those who are in the process of committing an indictable offence, or you reasonably suspect that they are committing an indictable offence. So this is an important distinction. You cannot just suspect that somebody is about to go and commit this thing, and then you go and make a citizen's arrest. For anybody wanting to read more about citizen's arrest, you can find it again under 24A of the Police and Criminal Evidence Act. So I hope you found that overview useful, but please do exercise caution. Don't just go out arresting people on a whim. It really is best left to police officers in most circumstances, or at the very least, more than one of you, so that you don't risk using excessive force, or much worse, get very hurt yourself. So as always, make sure you subscribe, and thanks for watching.